Alright, so why do you stand?
Why do I stand? I stand here with our group, the Stand Up group, because the government has mandated our genocide, and it is done in sneaky, sly ways, like mandating vaccines, I call them quaccines, mandating vaccines, toxic vaccines for minor diseases like the COVID flu. And the mandates that were introduced then are mostly still in force today. And our government in WA, the Australian government, and almost all governments worldwide are pushing this crooked genocidal menace. And the worst thing is that the worst of these companies is Pfizer. They're the ones that made the mRNA for the spike protein, and perhaps I need to discuss what spike protein is. Spike protein is the toxin that gets into your body when you get many types of flu, like COVID. But the problem is that if you make antibodies to the spike protein, you make antibodies to a human protein called syncytin. And syncytin is needed for sperm motility and for a fertilised ovum to get attached to the uterus for pregnancy to occur. And thus these vaccines, or quaccines I call them, these mRNA ones, are reducing human fertility by creating autoimmune disease, where people produce antibodies to their own proteins or even their own DNA. And this is criminal action by government officials and doctors, including immunologists who should know better. I was studying immunology in 1986. I made the connection between vaccines and the rise in autoimmune disease, and I was told by a young immunologist, Mark, that is absolutely wrong. Vaccines have been thoroughly tested and found to be entirely safe. And I believed that BS for over 30 years. People like Judy Wileman woke up over a decade before I did. But once I came to realise that, I knew I had to rally the support for the awake people. And I will be doing that for the rest of my life, because everyone here, their children and grandchildren as well as themselves, are threatened by these quaccines. And I even know more of it because one of the academics who was the head of the WHO at Sydney University, I think I should just call him Quackademicus Maximus, I can't give his real name, but he's now an emeritus professor. He'd been peddling these vaccines for years, employed by the New South Wales Public Health Department. And it's this corruption which has gotten in among the professors, among the senior academics, which has sabotaged the whole of medicine. The Royal Australasian College of Physicians, which should be dealing with this issue, has remained absolutely silent for 5 years. We haven't got much time left because little girls are being jabbed, and by the time they reach the age they want to get pregnant, they will not be able to do so, and all the fertility doctors will get rich from it, just as cardiologists, neurologists, etc. are all getting rich from all the damage we've had from people taking these infernal COVID quaccines. There's waiting lists now, they're over 6 months long, and the people are waiting so long, many of them will die anyway before being gotten to see them by a specialist. And worse still, the specialists are being told by AHPRA, the Australian Health Professionals Regulatory Authority, not to take a vaccine history because it is irrelevant. And we're having to put up with all this garbage, which is going to go on for decades till they've wiped out most of the population. So perhaps I'm raving too much, but that's why I stand up, and I always will.
I stand because if we don't stand, there won't be much left for our kids, for our grandkids, for future generations. Australia's been corporatised in a big way. We know that from $150 billion worth of gas being given away from Australia. We know that people like Exxon, Chevron, Chevron's made $93 billion profit and didn't pay any tax, like $100 or something. It's just ridiculous what's going on. We do have a constitution. The people of the states did vote for to have a federation back in 1900, and it is there. It can only be removed by a referendum, and that hasn't been done. Despite many people will tell you that it's gone, it has been usurped, it has been kind of abandoned, just like the old Parliament House has been abandoned, but it's still there. And there's a group that I'm part of Commonwealth custodians, and we are restoring it. We've done a trust in Sydney on the 13th of April. The trust was from 3 trustees came from each state of Australia. We signed the Constitution back into legislation, and now we're busy restoring it. We'd also like to have the election soon. So if people want to come and vote for the Commonwealth, we know that their system, the corporate Commonwealth, it's a bit of a behemoth now. It's very big, it's very hard to change, and there's lots of well-meaning politicians that go in and try and change it, but they just get swallowed up. So we just need to come away now. Because they created it, we don't want to destroy it. They created it, they own it, they control it. We need to come away back to the original de jure Commonwealth, because we created it and we're lawfully, rightfully and peacefully resuming it.
Wait for the wind. Why do you stand?
Yeah, it's the other way around to look at that, Alan. Because if we don't stand, if we don't keep standing, then the forces of darkness, the establishment, the people behind these projects will run through to the final conclusion. If we maintain an opposition and keep our information flowing out, the facts of the matter relating to COVID-19, for example, and to the climate change narrative, which are running in parallel to weaken our society and to weaken our economy, then those forces will go right through to their bitter end. I saw an interview with Matthias Desmet, the Professor of Clinical Psychology in the University of Ghent in Brussels, pointing out he's a student of mass formation in the 1930s in Germany and Russia, Soviet Union. He said even if we are a small minority of 3, 4, 5% of the population, if we stop what we're doing, if we stop spreading our newspapers and doing our podcasts and standing in the park, then the establishment, the government, in the case of Germany in the 1930s, the Nazis, and in the case of the Soviet Union, Stalinists, will go through to their final objectives, such as the concentration camps and the gulags. If we, despite our small numbers, continue to stand up and speak and write and run our podcast and do the work you're doing with your camera and your interviews, there is a good chance that we will prevent them from going to the ultimate end of their agenda, which is to have us under total centralised slavery. That's why we're here.
Why do you stand?
I stand because of the community here. There's a lot of people come to stand in the park because they think the government isn't doing a good job for various reasons. Some people don't like the Green New Deal. Energy prices are going up and they're told that they're going to go down. Some people don't like the medical approach of the government, and others think the government's spending money like drunken sailors. But the walk in the park is for people that believe the government isn't doing a good job.